Hey y'all, one more again. What's good? It's your man Rod back up in here one more again with another video. Um, I want to say I appreciate y'all listening and having your opinions and all that good stuff with the current political landscape, because more voices is better than none, right? And we can't allow them to silence us, silence you, or even silence the other side, right? Because the best ideas come about when there's collaboration. That's if and when collaboration happens. So again, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you listening to my voice, and and expounding upon my voice to the masses. I greatly appreciate that. We're going to get into something today I haven't been wanting to talk about since it all happened, and a lot of you know I've dabbled into it a little bit, and I've said my pieces about it, but never really broke down into it, right? Because of the vitriol, the pushback from both sides, three sides, whichever, whatever you want to call it, right? The complete dissent of people, because they only see their point of view as the only point of view in this situation. And what I'm talking about is the leftist violence, the violence coming from the from the left, as far as Antifa and BLM is concerned. So I'm gonna dabble into that for a few minutes here, just to tingle your mind a little bit, and have a conversation with you, right? But before we get going, if you have not already, make sure you go over to donate.bpmg.us and subscribe to our Patreon. As you can see, it's a $5 option, $10 option, $20 option, and you can look at what features you get subscribing to the Patreon. And subscribe to the Patreon. You get all these features. You get a exclusive podcast I have on there called The Constitutionalist Quill, and where I break down the history of the clauses and the amendments and the articles of our said beloved Constitution. So make sure you do that at donate.bpmg.us. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's get into this story that just happened the other day. What we see here, coming out of KTLA Channel 5, out of California, 2 arrested, 2 wounded after car drives through Black Lives Matter counter protest in Yorba Linda, California. Now, we have seen these episodes, where you've seen fighting, you've seen violence within protest with the counter protesters. You have even seen situations where just innocent regular people, they turn into what would be a protest. They're like, okay, what's going on here? I gotta go. And they drive through. Prime examples down here, right just south of me in Provo, Utah, where a man was shot through the vehicle, right? Man was shot through the vehicle because he was driving through the protest, right? This is the stuff we're talking about here, right? The violence coming from the left. This innocent guy down here in Provo didn't know what was happening. He's like, oh yeah, okay, whatever, just let me through. I'm trying to go wherever, right? And they end up shooting the poor guy, and then they want to say, oh, you're trying to run over protesters. And we see the videos where the leftists are actually just recently with the CHP officer, right, where he had his sirens on, yield, right? Cars have to yield, that you know what I mean, pedestrians have to too, regardless if you're protesting or not. He's trying to get to an emergency, but this fool decides to jump up on the car, and the cop was like, you know what, I'm out, and rolled out. And dude rolled right off the car, and you heard her screaming, oh my God, and all that stuff, right? It's like these leftist protesters, they think that, they're always in the right. Like they have the complete and moral high ground in this, right? And I'm like, You can't be morally right in both cases. You're either wrong here or right there. You just can't be right all the way through. That is not how the universe works, people. This is not how the universe works. And really, down to the bare bones, is lack of principles. It's all about them and nobody else. When obviously there's more. There's more people than them in this world, in this country, or the municipality they're living in. No respect for these people. None. Zero, zilch, zippo, period, nada, zero. Right. But you know what? Let's get into this story real quick. This story says two people were struck by a car and injured Saturday during a Yorba Linda demonstration involving members of Black Lives Matter and counter protesters. Another two people, Tatiana Turner, 40 of Long Beach, and Jason Mancuso, 46 of Anaheim, were arrested following the afternoon protest, according to the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Turner is the person suspected of driving into demonstrators, and she stands accused of attempted murder and assault with a deadly weapon. And those of you that are going to question, is you have to understand the vehicle, when driven with intent to hurt someone, in this case, is assault with a deadly weapon. It's the same reason why police shoot at cars that are driving at them. Right. And this is another hypocrisy coming from the left. It's like, oh, he shouldn't have shot the guy. He was trying to drive off. He was driving towards them. That's considered a deadly weapon. So in same instance, right? Same thing. The car is a deadly weapon in the instance of trying to chase down a cop. It's the same instance when you're chasing down protesters. And the thing is that the people in this protest, or I say protest, but march, or whatever you want to call it, this Trump supporter march, they were screaming, oh, they were white supremacists, or they were Proud Boys and all this stuff. And it's like, these were just regular Californians, just regular people exercising their political speech. And they did not deserve to get ran over by a car. Just like the Proud Boy in Portland didn't deserve to get shot in the back of the head, right? By an Antifa member. I mean, this has gone completely nuts, people. This is completely idiotically nuts. Let's continue with the story. Mancuso was taken into custody on suspicion of failure to obey a dispersal order issued by authorities. The injured people were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The spokeswoman for the sheriff's office did say the incident occurred as members of Black Lives Matter demonstrated against police brutality and systemic racism. Officials said the protest also involved a group called Caravan for Justice. Now, if you remember there's the Caravan for Justice were the people that were helping people south of the border migrate across the border with funding and things like that, right? If you remember that from way back. So this is the same group that participated in the basically breaking the law, right? Illegal immigration, getting people across the border was part of this protest, right? Now, the counter protesters crossed a 6-lane Imperial Highway and confronted BLM protesters, authorities said. The protesters also confronted each other in the parking lot of the Yorba Linda Public Library. Now, here's where I have to throw in my dissent on this, right? Because first and foremost, we should not be confronting other people exercising their political speech, right? It is their First Amendment right to do so. We should not be impeding on it, right? And I say this, and I know folks on the right are going to send dissent my way, etc. But you know what? Principles are principles, right? We don't want the left imposing on our speech and what we say, like Blue Lives Matter, Back to Blue, etc. We owe them the same respect, regardless if you disagree with them or not. We cannot be confronting these people because it creates situations like we had just read. Person hauls off with a car, they get mad, and boom, drives right through people. Right? We have to stop this. We have to stop this, period. Right? Because it's only going to get worse. So we have to stop confronting these people and have your own protest, your own peaceful protest against the protest, right? in peace, right? But when the two sides are clashing, people end up ignoring the whole situation and the cause that you stood there for. So, for my patriots, you know, be mindful when you do these things, right? If you're going over to have an honest discussion, that's fine. But if you know potentially it could become violent, you stay away, stay out of people's protest, right? And I say the same for the left too. You might not like the message of Blue Lives Matter or Back the Blue, but on principle, if you want to be left alone, you leave them alone and let them practice their First Amendment right. Nobody's the arbiter of anybody's individual rights. It's God. God is the interpreter and the giver of our rights. So we have to leave it as is. Let's continue with the story. Around three here we go. I'm sorry, I'm a little off here. About 30 minutes after the demonstration started, the sheriff's officials said they began receiving reports of physical alterations between the groups. At least one individual pepper sprayed another protester, the officer said. The crowd grew during the time around 250 demonstrators. It doesn't say if they're BLM or Trump supporters, whatever. But around 3 p.m., after authorities issued several orders to disperse, a white sedan went through the crowd in the parking lot of the Yorba Linda Public Library, hitting and injuring two people, according to the sheriff's officials. People chased the car as it tried to drive away, and it was eventually stopped and was surrounded by police. That's the right thing to do. Don't chase the car down the street and mob them. Call the police and let them handle that business. That's their job. Let them do their job, right? Turner, the suspected driver, is believed to be part of a group called Caravan for Justice. On September 17th, the sheriff's office first learned of the demonstration supposedly being planned by Caravan for Justice and expected to take place in Yorba Linda at 2 p.m. Saturday. Officials say they learned of counter-protests planned shortly after. According to the sheriff's officials, Turner was detained a short distance away from the protest. The register reported that it was not known how fast the car was going. The back windshield had been broken out and had a flagpole sticking out of it. The front windshield was smashed, the register reported. Braun said there were 300 people total. At some point, it was declared an unlawful assembly and dispersal orders were given, which is the right thing to do. Now, on Thursday night, here we continue. On Thursday night, a protester was struck by a pickup truck during a march in Hollywood and suffered non-life-threatening injuries. LA police said Friday the preliminary investigation found that the driver was attempting to maneuver through the crowd when protesters began beating the vehicle with sticks in an attempt to open the door. See, this is what I'm talking about. And this is for the folks on the left. You just can't do this. This is why the folks on the right are so infuriated with you guys on the left, you Antifas and your BLMs, right? Because normal people are just trying to get around with their daily lives and do what they got to do. And you want to jump up and beat on cars and stuff. This is why these counter protests happen. This is exactly why they happen, because you can't be respectful of other people during your protest, right? I mean, it's either equal application of rights to everybody or equal application of no rights to everyone. And you're not the arbiter of that. You are not. Folks, I got to start having respect for other people and their opinions and their right to protest, their First Amendment right. Because I guarantee you, y'all keep trying to silence the other side, or you keep trying to, you know, take people's rights away. What do you think is going to happen when they come for yours? What do you think is going to happen when they come for yours? Come for your rights? It ain't it. This is not fun and games, people. This is not fun and games. This is freedom and liberty talking. Freedom and liberty for everybody or for nobody. You have to make a choice in this. Because guess what? When that gun to take away your rights is pointed at you, you will be hooping and hollering, screaming and crying oppression, the oppression you created by creating this vitriolic environment trying to take away other people's rights. So keep that in mind as we go in through the year, the rest of the year, and understand what you're participating in and what authority you're giving the government in this. Because you know darn well our government will create legislation to counter what you're doing. I mean, look, they've already started with the anti-riot laws, right? You're giving them a reason to shut down free speech, right? You're giving them a reason to shut down peaceful assembly because of your antics. Riots and looting and all that stuff is going to get people's rights taken little by little, incrementally. So we have to be civil through all of this as we work through America's problems. We have to be civil, because if not, the government will take them away. They will surely take them away. And you will be contributing to the statism, expanding statism, I should say. So keep that in mind as we go through the year, and just be mindful when you're protesting and all that good stuff, what's going on around you and what's not going on around you. So until next time, y'all stay easy. I appreciate y'all tuning in, watching this video. Just leave your comments below on what you think, etc. And I usually respond to all comments anyway. So and share this. Make sure you share this so we can get this message out here. And I greatly appreciate y'all. Until next time, be easy, stay blessed.